And Matt Schlapp is the chairman of the American Conservative Union. Ron, did your dad ever ask you to take over the Middle East peace agreements and to try to forge your alliance over there? Did they ever bump aside Scowcroft or Jim Baker and say, Ron, get in here. I want you to handle Yasser Arafat and everybody else in Israel. I want you to take them on and make them best friends.
He did think I should start a one-man Mars colony, but other than that, no. No, Jared Kushner must be an enormously talented young fellow, though. I mean, it's just, it's extraordinary. I mean, there's so many problems with this. Ethics concerns, of course. There's practical concerns like, don't we have a State Department? Shouldn't they be doing a lot of the things that Jared Kushner is apparently doing? And the issue of mere competence. I mean, who the hell is Jared Kushner, basically? Why is he involved in all these things he knows nothing about? But the bigger question is really, who would put him in this position? What president would assign his son, his 36-year-old son-in-law, who has no relevant experience, to do all these things? And I would say an insecure and perhaps delusional president.
Wow. Matt Schlapp. You just heard that the gauntlet's been thrown down there.
I always think it's interesting to hear Democrats going after Jared Kushner, who himself is a Democrat, who was probably the president's closest advisor.
Right.
And so what's wrong with the fact that he's got someone next to him who's given him diverse political guidance over all these Republicans
What
around.
Advice does he have to give him on Mexico, Canada, Middle East, Iraq, all these countries in the world? He's relying on his son. This is called nepotism.
Well, I mean, it's a Bobby Kennedy role, which is, I think...
You want to start there?
I think it's...
Do you want to start there?
I do.
Okay, let's start with the fact that Bobby Kennedy was his campaign manager, his brother's campaign manager. And for 3 years, he was chief counsel in the Rackets Committee, taking down the gangsters of this country and made a name for himself doing something. What was Kushner? What was Kushner?
You're going to say Jared Kushner is no Bobby Kennedy. What I'm saying
no, you
is,
brought up Bobby Kennedy.
Well, my point is this, which is Jared, who was very involved in the campaign, has been very involved in Donald Trump's business life, is probably one of those people on this earth that the president talks to the most. And what he does is he's being honest and open with the American people, having him shed his business ties, going through all the ethics steps he has to go through.
That's why he's doing this.
It's the right way to do it. The wrong way to do it would be to allow him to be his advisor without having to go through all the ethics hoops. He is going through the ethics
here's the question. Is he the best man for the job?
Yes, because he's the one the president listens to.
So he's comfortable with
Presidents talk to who they want to talk to,
Is his success with the president, his ability to deal with the president or deal with the world?
Well, I couldn't hear that.
Is Kushner's advantage here, and the reason he has this position, not his ability to deal with the world, which he's being asked to do, but his ability to deal with Donald Trump?
I think that's
Isn't that the reason he's there?
That's a fair statement.
He's a blankie.
Well,
he's somebody who makes the president feel comfortable.
That's a little cheap, but
it is.
Presidents,
that's what I mean.
All presidents,
that's how I mean it,
including Democratic presidents, put people around them who they want to listen to.
Ron has been in this position of being a president's
I'd like to know what he did for the president in terms of official role. It'd be interesting.
Well, I don't know if he played any, because he was first of all, he's a progressive from the time he was born. Go ahead, Ron.
I had no official role, Matt.
Good.
No official role.
Good, Ron. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But listen,
there's a reason the nepotism law is real.
You know, your sister Maureen did have a role in all candor.
She did a small role and a very specific role. Jared Kushner seems to be all over the place, and it seems pretty obvious to me that Donald Trump is a guy who's in a position now where he realizes he's in over his head, and he's looking for a security blanket. He wants all the people he's familiar with around him now. He wants all his familiars around him as a security blanket, and the problem with that, as everybody must know, is he needs to be reaching out to people who actually know what they're talking about. And Jared Kushner doesn't have the faintest idea what he's doing in all these disparate realms that he's been put in charge of.
I am part of this world.
Right, you're part of this world. So tell me about this world. The President of the United States hasn't gotten through clearances. The Congress has not confirmed the appointments of anybody in the State Department. No deputies, no undersecretaries. So all over the world, whether it's Far East, Africa, Middle East, there's nobody that really support the new Secretary of State. So Tillerson travels around the world without a press combo behind him. I guess I can understand, although I don't really. He goes sort of incognito, heads out in his he wants a smaller plane so he can travel around the world. Does he relate to the Kushner operation? Does the Kushner operate relate to the State Department? And anybody connected to the president.
This is a fair criticism, which is the personnel process is not moving fast enough. These cabinet secretaries do not have enough Senate-confirmed sub-cabinet underneath them. They have a big problem at state. And the secondary question is this, which you always know, there's always a fight between big heads at the White House and these cabinet secretaries. And so far, the people at the White House, I think, are dominating a lot of these cabinet secretaries, which I think for some is asymmetrical. They want to see these cabinet secretaries playing a big role. How are you going to play that role when you don't have your political team around you?
Why did he put up Elliot Abrams for his deputy? Why did he put up the worst neocon in the world?
Well, he was blocked. You should be happy about that. He was blocked because he made anti-Trump statements.
I know, but Ron, it's crazy. We have a new CEO who operates like Don Regan, traveling around the world like he's prime minister and doesn't even need a president, like he's Mr. CEO. I don't need press. I don't need assistance. I don't need knowledge because I'm the CEO of America. It's strange. And then we got Jared Kushner, the crown prince, moving around on his own entourage. And then we have a State Department sitting over there waiting to be asked a question, maybe a translation. They're not even being talked to. Meanwhile, I have the president living between Mar-a-Lago, where he meets foreign dignitaries, and Trump Tower, where he meets the other ones. This is whack-a-bird. Anyway, your thoughts? There's a lot going on. It doesn't seem to be going.
I couldn't have said it better, Chris. I mean, the competence issues here are just enormous, and it's unsustainable. I mean, we can't sustain statecraft like this with Jared Kushner in charge of everything. And the question of how do they coordinate with the State Department? Well, indeed. I mean, if Jared Kushner is off meeting with the Chinese and making arrangements with them and taking care of Israel and Palestine, when do they connect with the State Department? Is the State Department in the loop on all of this stuff or not?
I don't think Kushner says Palestine, but we'll figure that one out later. Anyway, thank you.
It's going to be okay, Ron.
Thank you, Ron Reagan.
It's going to be okay.
Matt Schlapp is